Welcome to the Halley Elise Show, featuring your host, empowerment psychic Halley Elise. She is an author, psychic, and media personality, and has been listed as one of the top 100 psychics in America. Empowerment psychic Halley Elise shares the spiritual, metaphysical, holistic, and magical powers of the universe. Follow Halley on her website at HalleyElise.com, and all her shows can be seen via live stream video. Now, here's your host, empowerment psychic Halley Elise.
Hello, everyone. Nice to see you again. This evening, as always, and you always hear me say this, that I'm delighted to have my guests on, but it's really true because I have the best guests in the world. Tonight, we have Brian Hayes, who is a coach extraordinaire. And yes, that is my terminology. But you're dealing with someone who not only has knowledge and respect to coaching, but also in so many different arenas that he's able to take all of that wisdom and really help you in a myriad of ways. So without further ado, hi, Brian.
Hello, and thank you for having me.
Glad that you could be here tonight. So I'm going to dive in right away and say, share with everybody a little bit about your background, because you do hypnosis and you're able to focus on positive intention, and you've got all of this, like I want to say, this magic bag of tricks that you use, and yet everything is very applicable in someone's life when you're helping them.
Absolutely. I think that it's really important to focus on the individuality of each person. And in fact, today I was listening to interviews from some people, and there was executives. You're looking at people who are very high influential people, and yet they were rather nervous about doing this. And it doesn't matter who the person is, they have something that they're looking for. And one of the questions I get asked a lot is, why have a coach? And I've had a life coach for over 10 years, and she's now my best friend. And it's really how I got into coaching, and it's through not only coaching, but it's also through the fact that I got involved into hypnosis and past life regression, and I like to incorporate all of that into my sessions.
So you're dealing with a myriad of modalities. It's not just a matter of here is a 3-step plan or this is a 12-step plan. Mm-hmm. It's more a matter of, okay, let's see where you are, let's see where we need to go, and then use the different tools and those different modalities to help the person circumvent whatever's going on and to release anything in their life that is a challenge or an obstacle. And also, I know that you work with them to help them understand, where did that come from, so that they don't repeat that sort of pattern. Actually, you have a particular catchphrase that you use about living life to the fullest. Do you want to share that?
Absolutely. In fact, one of the things that I've been really concentrating on, both in my personal life as well as with my clients, is living an epic life.
Love it.
My girlfriend and I, we've been talking about this a lot, and that's creating an epic life. So what I do is I create a spreadsheet, and it really comes down to really simple. What would you do if you won $1 million? And it doesn't matter what the denomination is or nomination, whatever it happens to be. What happens is that people don't have a plan. And it's amazing that people have a plan for the worst possible thing that can happen. But what about having a plan and putting your life into a place where you're really looking for the most magnificent, amazing things, whether it be you want to go someplace, you want to do something, and really writing every single thing down, even to the fact of, a restaurant that someone tells you about. And also the idea is really on a granular portion is that it gets to be the weekend, and it's amazing how many times people turn to each other and go, well, what do you want to do? And this is a way that by having it all written down, and I include in there the budget for each, and then what that enables you to be able to do is look at, okay, this is what we want to do. We can check off, and it's basically, the idea is like a vision board meets bucket list.
Okay, as well as budget.
And budget's important.
From that understanding. Now, what would you say, though, to someone who says, wait a minute here, writing everything down
Okay.
has to do with being a little anal, where you're looking at things so analytically that everything has to be precise. And where does spontaneity come into that? Because, okay, you have a coach telling you, here, this is how you live your life. You write this down, you do this thing on this day. And yes, even if you look at sports, there is always a plan that is supposed to be managed, and you're supposed to interact and follow those rules. But there's a but. How many people would respond to that if it's so rigid? And really and truly, do you think that type of plan works for everyone?
And I think that that's a great question. And really where you're going with that is something that I think is really important as well. And that one of the things that people have asked me is that they've said, well, I don't want a coach because I don't want someone telling me how to live my life. And I think that that's the important part about a coach, is that I don't tell anybody anything. In fact,
wait a minute. Why are they paying you?
I ask questions.
Yes.
So that's the important part, is that I ask the questions and let them find the answer. And the idea is that if you have, typically you're going to have relatives or you're going to have your friends. And if you ask them, they're biased.
Of course.
And that bias sways either from the fact of, no, you can't do this, or, oh, yeah, you can do anything. But both of those are not actually realistic, so to speak. And so it's really getting to the point, but you want to continue to push them, but it's coming from exactly where they want to be. So say the spreadsheet, like for me, that works great for me. But if it doesn't work for somebody else, then we could go a completely opposite direction. And that's perfectly fine.
Okay, so that's what I guess we needed to know, because if you're working with someone, you have to work with them in a way that is comfortable for them so that they'll stick to it. I mean, it's kind of the idea of, some people are really great, for instance, with smoking cessation. They go, I'm done. And they throw their cigarettes away, and they never pick up another pack. Somebody else says, well, I'm doing 3 a day. I've been doing this for a month. The next month I'm going to do 2 a day. And then somebody else would say, oh, no, I've tried everything. And, all those little tools and tricks and things, no, that doesn't work. I need to go get some hypnosis, and I need my doctor to tell me that I'm dying for me to believe it enough to not do it. So I just want to clarify for people listening in that even though you feel that there's a plan and a way to do things, that you will accommodate the individual and what their needs are, and how they anticipate what it is that they want for their life, as well as really clarifying for them that friends and loved ones love you. They're not necessarily going to tell you the truth. Or I find that if they are not doing it themselves, then how do you ask them? I have one of my mentors talked about, if you're dealing with someone and you want to learn about money, and they're telling you about how to obtain wealth, whether it's from the law of attraction or it is from any other methodology or belief or philosophy, what's their net worth? And really think about this. If someone has $3 million in the bank, that's a decent net worth. Somebody else may have 25, or maybe it's $1 billion. But if someone has 20 grand in the bank, do you really want to study with them? So again, it's kind of important to know who it is you're dealing with, and knowing that your coach is going to be flexible is tremendous. Now, who needs a coach? I mean, you mentioned that you've had a coach for a decade. That's amazing, really. But who do you really think coaching is relevant to, and for what reasons? Like, where do you specialize? Is there one area in particular, or do you look at everything?
My clients are inspired to have the most amazing life they can have. They're the people that could be either, doesn't matter what type of person they are, but they love life and they want the most out of life. And I think that what's important is that the clients that I work with, it's not really work.
Okay.
Because it's fun. I work with fun, amazing people. And I think that that's important. And my niche is working with people on inspiration. And I think that, or from an inspirational level, in that a lot of people, at work and stuff, you talk about motivation, and it's really finding out what inspires you. What do you love? What are you passionate about? What are the things that you want to get up for in the morning? And some people may know that, some people may not at all.
Yeah, I was going to actually ask, the fact that here you are asking people, well, what is it that inspires them? What is it, that makes them want to get up in the morning? I'm sure you have people that go, I don't know. That's why I came to you. I don't know what I want to do with my life. How do you answer that? How do you address that? How do you inspire them in that moment when they're saying, I don't know, everything's fine, but I don't feel like I'm really got a grasp on what it is that I'm supposed to do? How do you answer that?
Needless to say, that probably was going to take more than one session.
You think?
Usually if somebody comes in, and I can relate to that, because there are moments in my life when I might not have the answer. And having that empathy to know that it's okay. Because that's one of the things I've really come to the conclusion is that, when we're young, we're supposed to know what we want, but yet how many people truly do? And, there are some people that they are out of the womb, they're a master pianist. But I would say that's few and far between. And the older you get, and not necessarily chronologically, but the older you get, a lot of times you lose whatever it is that you're really inspired about. And sometimes you need to just kind of go back and figure out what it is. And sometimes it's just really small steps. What do you like to do? What is fun for you? And then sometimes it's like, well, I don't know. I haven't had fun in such a long time. And I can give you one tip that I did a couple years ago. Instead of a mantra, one of the things I did, or instead of a New Year's resolution, I had a mantra. Mine was basically one word: fun. So any decision that I made, it would be, is this fun or is it not? Now, this is not wild and crazy fun, but basically
why not? No, I'm just kidding.
That could be included
could
too.
Be included.
But it's more of, okay, is this conversation going to be fun to me? Is this interview going to be fun for me? If it's fun, then I do it.
Brian, we've got to cut to a quick break here, but we will be right back in a moment with my guest, Brian Hayes, coach extraordinaire. See you in a moment. Thank you.
Did you see Halley Elise in the paper?
Who?
The empowerment psychic, Halley Elise. They did a 2-page write-up. The columnist was enthralled. Halley went right to an issue that she was dealing with. I'm looking at HalleyElise.com right now.
What are you thinking? Should we schedule an appointment?
Matter of fact, yes. You have issues with Sue and me, my business. Take a look at her background. It's impressive, and she has decades of experience.
I want to put it on my iPad. What's her info?
Empowerment Psychic Halley Elise. HalleyElise.com. 561-755-2166.
Spell it.
HalleyElise.com.
So it's HalleyElise.com and 561-755-2166, right?
561-755-2166. That's it. Wow, this looks really great. Gosh, I've got to stop talking to myself. The Psychic Gallery on the first Monday of every month, 7:30 p.m. here in Boca Raton. De-stress, connect with intuitive abilities, laugh, learn about psychic phenomena, and get psychic messages? Psychic messages? Woo! Where's the price? Here it is. Only $25 at the door? Awesome! How do I sign up? Oh, easy. Go to HalleyElise.com. Nice. $5 off online? Oh, I've got to call the girls and tell them about the Psychic Gallery on the first Monday of the month. Great time. 7:30 p.m. Perfect. Have to remember HalleyElise.com for the Psychic Gallery.
You're listening to Empowerment Psychic Halley Elise, and she invites you to visit her website for more information about all that she does at halleyelise.com. Now, back to your host, Empowerment Psychic Halley Elise.
Yeah.
Hi, back again with the Halley Elise Show and my friend Brian Hayes. We're talking about coaching, and his style of coaching is very different than what you would think of. But before we jump back there, I just want to remind everyone that the first Monday of the month is the Psychic Gallery. And if you need more information, you can take a look online at halleyelise.com, as well as mark your calendar, because October is going to be an extraordinary month. Some of you may have caught Connie and Martin Jordan when they were on. They're mediums who actually speak with their son, who's no longer here, who is an avatar. And we're going to do an amazing event on the 24th. There's going to be food, and there's going to be music, and there's going to be Connie and Martin, and me too. So just mark your calendars for the 24th for that, the first Monday of the month, which I believe is the 6th for a regular gallery. Oh, and I'm going to give a friend a plug, and you may have seen her on the air as well, Jacqueline Ripstein, the amazing artist. She has her book signing at Books and Books on the 22nd, which is a Wednesday, and that's in Coconut Grove. So there you go. I try to cover as much as I can in a moment. And with further ado, we're going to get back to Brian, but I do want to mention that he does things differently, as I said. So everything is tailored to the individual. You know, sometimes coaching is knowing that the person has to see themselves in a different light. So Brian incorporates photography into his coaching. And Brian, why don't you tell us a little bit about how you do that? Because it's pretty amazing, and I think you're the only one doing that as well.
Well, like I said, we're just talking about fun. And why not have fun with the things that you do? So what I started doing, and part of it is I've been an actor for several years now. And through that process, and I've also done modeling, is that I've realized that people do not like being in front of the camera.
True.
And what I will do is start out by taking their picture. And typically it's the kind of before picture and the after picture. And of course it depends on the client. It depends on if it's something that they're wanting to do. But it's amazing to see the transformation and just the confidence that they have in themselves. And you can really see that when you look at their picture.
Absolutely. I mean, I know both of us work differently than you do, but I see oftentimes a client will come in and their body just talks to you. You know, it's not just what's coming across what they're saying, but it's that posture. So the shoulders are rounded, or, you know, they have their chin down, or their arms are crossed. And if you take that type of photo initially and people see that, they don't necessarily recognize that there's anything wrong. But then you work with them, and later you take another photo in the same sort of context, and they get to see how amazing it is when they look at their own transformation. All of a sudden, you know, their chin is up in the air and they're standing straight and the arms aren't crossed, and there's a big smile on their face. I think too what's pretty amazing is if you choose to do so and the client's up for it, you'll take photos in between. So you'll finish, for instance, one exercise and kind of get a feel for where they're at in that moment, and then do another set a little later down the line, so they really could have a photo history of who they are. I know too, because you have had, and it was funny, you were talking about acting. I'm thinking, yes, we have a couple of hams here on the camera, because I have some background too. But you can really help inspire someone when they see themselves literally in a different light. And so they could do, for instance, a video blog that you work with them, or when you're working with them on Skype and you save something that you can share. They really have a reference. So it's not just, I thought of this or I wrote something down, but it's multidimensional. So what do you feel is the best client for you? You know, what would really ring true for you as to a client that you know there's going to be phenomenal success with?
I would say that if you're listening right now, and that's it. If you're motivated to do something in the next 30 days, but you're not sure how to get there, give me a call.
Okay, fair enough. So, giving you a call. Let's give out your number. I know it's supposed to be up on the screen, but at the moment I'm not seeing it. So, please share. Up there it is, but share your number for those listening and not watching.
That is 561-866-0976.
One more time.
561-866-0976.
It's pretty good. You could have done a commercial. Okay, and they also can find you on Facebook or no?
Absolutely, and Facebook is a great way. I actually do a lot of coaching through Facebook, and just look up Brian Hayes, and that's Brian with a Y. I also have a group Out of the Haze, and just Out of the Haze, Haze, and sometimes that's easier to find me with such a common name.
Right. Well, not only that, I think Out of the Haze also makes people wonder, well, what's going on? What's unique? What's different? So that's kind of fun. Now, price. Not that you have to tell us exactly, but how reasonable are you in comparisons to, let's say, some big guru who, does advertising all over the U.S. and does major events? I stumped you, huh?
I am extremely expensive.
Okay, well, good. That means you've got a good sense of self.
What I've noticed is that it is really important to have a price set, because that's one of the things that I've noticed is then that's what happens when you start coaching a lot of times, is that you start off and you don't charge people as much, and then all of a sudden they don't take it seriously.
True.
And that is something that is just so important, because you want someone who is invested in their own life, and that's invested in not just in a financial sense, but invested in their life personally, professionally, spiritually. And my goal is not to have a 10-year relationship with someone. My goal is basically you get whatever you came from, and then you move on to that next step in life. You don't need to have a coach like I have a coach for 10 years. It's totally up to you what you are looking for.
Okay, so I want to get back to the meat where somebody says, I don't know what to do. And like you said before, well, it could be fun. I'm just curious, how do you help them dig into their past to uncover perhaps the direction that they wanted to go in when they were younger, but for some reason it escaped them?
Well, and that's one of the things that's a great question, because part of it is that with the questions I asked, it's what questions. I don't ask why questions, because I don't want to go into the past, especially from traumatic experiences, because I'm not a psychologist, I'm not a doctor. I do incorporate past life regressions and hypnosis, and it's especially through past life regressions. If you've never done one before, it can have amazing results, because you don't realize some of the things that you're carrying over from
previous lifetimes.
Many
Absolutely.
previous lifetimes.
Absolutely. We have that in common as far as working with clients and using past life regression as a tool. Matter of fact, next week I have MCV Egan on, who wrote the book The Bridge of Deaths, and we're going to be talking about psychometry as well as past life regression as tools for investigating. So it's really amazing how something that seems to be a little thing, not a big deal, can have a major impact when someone is able to connect with a previous history that they have no real inclination of in this life, and they go, oh wait, now I understand why I do that, or now I understand why I was afraid of this. It can transform an entire life. So let's say the person has figured out what was their challenge or what was their obstacle, and you mentioned that you ask questions with a what, which is great. All of my mentors do the same thing. Not why, because like you said, the past is the past. You want to focus on what you can do in this moment and what is coming next. So I guess the question I want to ask you is, what would be the first question that you would ask a client when they came in to help them begin the process?
The first question is usually pretty standard. I actually have a list of questions, but the first one is just, I can think of pretty much what I said before, is that what do you want to accomplish in 30 days from right now? And from there, one of the things that I've noticed is sometimes it's almost like an onion. Is that, say you come for, I want to get a new job. And pretty soon, after a few minutes, you start realizing the job isn't what's important. You really want to talk about
Money.
Money or,
or
relationship.
Comfort or relationship, right.
And then it's really figuring out, okay, so what do you really want? And getting to the core of that. And it's important to get the person excited, and that's just a part of, if somebody has reached out and already made the call and is looking to improve upon their life or do something differently, you already know that they are taking that first step, and I applaud people for doing that because it can be difficult for them to take that initial step.
Sure, it can be very daunting to choose to make a difference in your life. There's that saying about comfort and discomfort. This is why a lot of times when somebody is ill, they won't address it because they're like, well, yeah, I know what this is. I've been dealing with it. Or somebody's in a bad relationship, and they're like, oh, but there's nothing else out there. So thank you so much for being on tonight, Brian. Once again, give out your phone number. It's 561-866.
0976.
Okay. See, we did that together. I love it. Again, thank you for being on this evening. And folks, do reach out to Brian, pick his brain, connect with him on Facebook. You'll be happy you did so. And thanks so much for tuning in. We shall see you next week on the show. Good night.
Be enchanted and delighted. Connect each week here on WNN for the Halley Elise Show. Also on Facebook and at HalleyElise.com. Thanks for tuning in.